No, 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 no. No!
She was one of the most famous actors of the Golden Age of Hollywood. The most popular sex symbol of the 20th century. It was a legendary journey that was still cherished by the whole world 60 years after his death at the age of 36. You probably haven't seen her movies. But you must have heard her name. Maybe it's because of a picture, a painting, or a legend. She is Marilyn Monroe. Beautiful and sexy. Marilyn Monroe has always been synonymous. Blonde gold-worshipping silly girl is the screen image given to him by Hollywood. Also for decades. A symbol that has been consumed by countless film entertainment media. But lesser known. Real Marilyn Monroe. Very different from the screen image. She's not what people say. Superficial actress. Only talking about Monroe's better looks. Talking about her baseless gossip. Is the biggest offense to her. This video. Let's walk in. The real rich and multifaceted Marilyn Monroe. In an ordinary family in Los Angeles in 1926. A little girl was quietly born. His mother named him Norma Jane Mortensen. No one ever thought. This little girl someday in the future will grow into a superstar that will make the world fall in love with it. Marilyn Monroe's father disappeared from birth. Mother Grandis is a film editor. After giving birth, she and he are still living a turbulent life. The unexpected arrival of Norma meant a lot to her. More like a burden. So Norma was born in less than 2 weeks. Was sent to a foster family by her mother. Since then she has been wandering between 11 foster families and orphanages. It's not that Mother Grandis hasn't thought about taking care of Norma herself in the past 10 years. When Norma was 7 years old, Grandis took out a loan to buy a house and took her to live with her. But the good times don't last long. Because of work pressure and family genetic factors. Grandis suffers from severe mental illness. Had to enter nursing homes and hospitals for treatment. From now on, the figure of mother in Norma's life also getting blurry. Absence of childhood parents deeply hurt young Norma. Even when facing the camera, she is always smiling. During the Great Depression in the United States in the 1930s, a blonde actress Jean Harlow appeared in Hollywood. Jean Harlow's sexy image and girly grace put him among the Hollywood 30s. One of the most famous idols. Young Norma grew up watching Jean Harlow's movies. Since then, this Jean Harlow has always been her favorite actor. 1942, Norma's guardians, the Grace family, are moving to West Virginia. And Norma wasn't in their plans. Without any choice. Norma, who was just 16 and a sophomore in high school, was forced to marry her neighbor James. Only in this way. To prevent him from being sent to an orphanage again. 2 years later, Norma got put into radio aircraft. Be a female worker. James enlisted in the army. Husband's departure let Norma lose her sense of security again. The marriage ended after Norma became a model. Start to get more precarious. Cameramen from the Air Corps film team came to radio aircraft. Want to photograph the hard-working female workers in the factory. Photos used as advertisements and publicity. Norma's looks caught the attention of photographers. Her usual shyness and lack of confidence disappeared in front of the camera. As if she was born to face the camera like this. Excellent sense of lens. Gave Norma the opportunity to become a model. But husband James doesn't support him. Norma, who became a model, want to start my own business. And what James needs is a housewife. In 1946 the marriage came to an end. End of first marriage. It also means the beginning of Norma's career. Fox spotted this in front of the camera. Natural and showy young girl. In the actor's contract signed with the company, Norma decides to change her stage name. Marilyn Monroe was born. Hollywood in the 1940s was full of opportunities. But the model-turned-actor Monroe. It's not all smooth sailing. In the first 5 years he has been playing the part of the role. Until his 6th film, The Dead of Night. Through a limited role. But a pivotal role. Monroe completely changed from a movie model. Transformed into a real actress. Followed by Comet Beauty. Miss Carswell role. Make more people notice him. 1951 Year of Mary for the first time. And the only time it appears in. At the Oscar Awards. Best Acoustics Award. For better development opportunities. In order to make up for my lack of knowledge. Marilyn fell in love with reading and exercising. Whitman Nilk appeared on her bookshelf. Works by Tolstoy Sandberg et al. But that period. Female actor with love of literature and sports. Is very rare. Of course, this does not mean that she is not worldly. Even the goddess can't refuse desserts and delicacies. The time came to 1952. This year. Monroe's 20th film Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Diamonds are a woman's best friend. Legendary rendition hits big. She also became a sexy goddess in Hollywood. But it's different from the blonde and brainless money-worshipping character in the play. Marilyn didn't have a strong desire for money. He was paid $15,000 for the film. Co-star Jane Russell gets $150,000. This line in the play. Also added at his request. They told me you were stupid. You don't sound stupid to me. I can be smart when it's important. But most men don't like it. During a period of steady career growth. Another one appeared in Marilyn's life. Man who means a lot to her. Joe DiMaggio. He was a legendary baseball player for the New York Yankees. It is also the first worth in history. $1 million baseball player. A picture of Marilyn Monroe. Baseball pictures got Joe. After meeting him, the two began to have a spark of love. However, the problem may have appeared at the beginning of the relationship. Joe announced his retirement in 1951. His glory has stayed in the past. While Marilyn is still on the rise. The peak is yet to come. Joe subconsciously thinks that women should be humble. Obey husband. She even discussed it with Monroe. The possibility of attracting her. The conflict reached its peak in 1954. This year. Marilyn Monroe was not consulted by Fox. Let him play. Sexy girl role as usual in Yen Ji. Monroe firmly chose to refuse to star in. He told the media he wasn't fighting for the money. The problem is entirely the fact that the company has been refusing to let him review the script. All she wants to fight for is to make sure the script is right for her. Monroe was suspended without pay by Fox. Corporate oppression didn't break Marilyn Monroe. Forced by Monroe's commercial value and popularity. Fox finally chose to compromise. He didn't appear in the film until the end. American film industry made in studios. Most actors have to endure contracts like indentured slavery. And for film companies, the radical change of extinction. Marilyn played a big role. January 14th of the same year. Monroe and Joe register their marriage at City Hall. Immediately after. She was in maybe the most important thing to her. It is also a film that makes the world remember him. Billy Wilder's 7-Year Itch. In this location shoot in New York. 2,000 melon-eating crowd watching. The photo taken with the photographer made him world-famous photo. In fact, This shooting is a promotional event planned by the crew. This drama is much more restrained in the feature film. But this campaign was undoubtedly very successful. The 7-Year Itch became the highest-grossing film of 1955. Marilyn also became the most famous woman in Hollywood. However, after filming the crew promotion, Marilyn is not happy. Because the night of the shooting, Joe was among the 2,000 people watching. She sees countless cameras. The wife who dances at the hem of her skirt. Non-stop shooting. Pale face. She beat Monroe that night. Domestic violence and Joe's lack of support for her career make her feel disheartened about the relationship. Monroe filed for divorce in September. Her second marriage. It lasted less than 9 months and ended in a hurry. Failure of marriage. Still failed to stop Marilyn from pursuing her career. In order to escape Fox's enslavement to him. Grasp more voice in cooperation. Monroe left Hollywood. Come to Manhattan, New York. Marilyn Monroe Productions. Referred to as MMP's days in New York. She has become a superstar and she is not satisfied with her existing achievements. Instead, he actively participated in the Actors Studio founded by Richard Strasberg to study acting. Improve acting skills. She aspires to be a serious actor like Malone Bailey. Not just dumb blondes in musical comedies. After 1955. With the influence of teacher Strasberg on her, she became more and more interested in Russian culture. Also getting closer with the writer Arthur Miller. That autumn, she had planned to lead a delegation of artists to visit Moscow. Expand cultural exchanges. Later application for a visa to Russia was rejected. Plans to visit Russia also fall through the cracks. And the relationship with Arthur Miller also put Marilyn under the covert surveillance of the FBI. Miller was a famous American playwright in the 1940s and 1950s. His masterpiece Death of a Salesman was a hit. For attending a writers' conference sponsored by communists. Miller and those close to him. Been monitored by the government. Although there is no definite evidence that Marilyn was a communist fighter. But her exploitation of capital and social injustice still deeply hated. She is also very passionate about public welfare and charity activities. 55 to only 4 films were filmed in the year of Mary. After the bus stop. Unanimous approval from New York Times critics. Wonderful performance in Yolungsifing. Won him the Italian Film Awards. Best Actress Award. This is the first time he has received such a high honor. Followed by the role in the next film Some Like It Hot. Let him get the Hollywood Golden Globe Award in 1959. Best Comedy. And Actress in a Musical. What Marilyn Monroe did in her acting career. The goal I have been pursuing. Become a really good actor. But behind the success of acting career. Marilyn's physical and mental health and life status. But not as beautiful as she showed in front of the camera. Depression and mental illness may be inherited in the family. Maybe it's the turbulent experience of wandering around in childhood. Made her extremely insecure. Mental tension prevented him from falling asleep. For the tight schedule of the next day, she has to rely on large doses of barbiturates for sleep. The next day on a cocktail of amphetamines. Wake yourself up. Long champagne with drugs. Irreversible damage to his body. Marilyn was pregnant 3 times but miscarried all of them. Third marriage to Arthur Miller. It also came to an end in '61. All kinds of reality made her collapse. In the last few years, he's in psychiatric therapy 3 times a week. 1962. In order to alleviate its own financial crisis, Fox Corporation. Tired physically and mentally, she was still asked to participating in a movie with an unfinished script on the brink of collapse. As the name of the movie, Marilyn Monroe at that time. I have fallen into the last desperate situation of my life. Marilyn was invited to Kennedy's birthday party. Join the party. After Marilyn. Bring endless rumors and criticism. At the same time, the shooting that was on the verge of collapse was very difficult. Fox will shoot badly. Give it all to Marilyn. Fire her. And demanded $500,000 in damages from her company. In this way, the film could not be finished in the end. Last 2 months of life. Marilyn. In fact, he was not overwhelmed by the setbacks in his career and life. In fact, she and Joe rekindled their relationship in early August. Ready to remarry her. The company also won for him the right to remake On the Verge of Collapse. Replaced the original director. His former idol. Jane Harlow's biopic is also on the agenda. Marilyn has a brighter future than ever. Unfortunately, in the early hours of August 5, 1962, Marilyn Monroe found dead in bed. Never woke up again. A generation of superstars has fallen. Rumors about the cause of Marilyn Monroe's death. During the 60 years of her death there has been no break. Drug overdose. Accidental history or rumored premeditated murder. Has no way of knowing. The only thing that can be confirmed is her death. It's not suicide that creates despair over life. Marilyn. 2 months after her 36th birthday. The haze of career and love life is lifting. Half an hour before his death, he had a phone call with Chiao. About the Kennedy family. The legend of meddling in Marilyn's death. Also baseless. 1964, the Free Herald Press has published a pamphlet. Recounted intentions for Marilyn Monroe's death. Actually it was just right-wing radicals at the time. Launched a political attack. Leader who concocted rumors that Kennedy killed Monroe indicted in '65. In that era of single information dissemination. Newspaper columns and TV news hold the absolute right to speak. It is easy for people to believe the so-called authoritative news. This rumor followed the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963 and Robert Kennedy in 1968. Reached the peak. Then there were rumors that the gang was involved in the murder. After all these years, no one has been able to produce evidence proving the existence of the so-called diary tapes. Relying only on word of mouth. Rumor writers are not interested in the truth. What they obviously value is the biography of famous people's stories. Benefits obtained. Looking back on Marilyn Monroe's 36 years in this world. Father never met, mother with mental illness. The lonely years of being in a foster family in childhood. Ups and downs acting career. 3 failed marriages. 3 miscarriages. Every factor. They seem to be about to overwhelm this seemingly delicate woman. But she struggled and resisted again and again. In her 29.5 films. She is always so bright. Bright smile. Shining like a galaxy. You can't imagine. What kind of torment is she going through off-screen? The life of Marilyn Monroe. Never been corrupted by the darkness of Hollywood. She is not greedy for money. Generated nearly $200 million in revenue for Fox. And her pay has always been the lowest among the leading actors in the same period. She desires independence and success in her career. Fight against the authority to start your own production company. She supports civil rights against racism. Help Fitzgerald perform at the Hollywood Club. She is passionate about charity and actively participates in fundraising activities. In front of the camera. She is always so natural and so charming. She was never just a dumb blonde with no brains. She aspires to be a real actress. She's always been that. Smiling girl facing the camera. Norma Jane. Marilyn Monroe is her best role.